Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Funky Marketing Podcast. My name is Nemanja Živković. I'm your host, and today we're going to talk about some very interesting things and very interesting topics that, and I'm going to try to answer some of the questions that I often get from you. So bear with me, stay with me. We're gonna cover a lot of different topics. Let me just check in to see if everything is okay, if everything is right. So we don't have any issues, any problems. I hope you can hear me well. Since I don't have the microphone, I'm doing this one from my home. My microphone is at the office, at the studio, but you know let's see how everything goes. I hope. I'm just gonna do this for a second to see if I can actually hear myself. I can. Okay, perfect. And we are good. So today is, I guess, the last week where I'm recording only these solo episodes. From the next week, we're gonna have some great guests, starting with one per week, and then we're gonna increase to two or maybe three episodes per week. We're gonna see what's happening. A lot of exciting stuff are coming, a lot of cooperations, a lot of good things. But before we get to that, uh, in between watching FIBA basketball games from the Olympics, I want to dive into a couple of really important and great topics and answer some of your questions. Like a lot of you have sent me questions during this past couple of month and a half, and I promise that I'm going to answer in a podcast episode. You know that I love to stream the recordings of the podcast. So this is what we are doing at the moment. Uh, Feel free to ask questions at any time. I'll try to follow the comments and answer. And if we can make it this a discussion, that will be even better. Before I dive into all this, make sure if you're listening to this to subscribe to the Funky Marketing Podcast on YouTube, on Spotify or Apple Podcast, no matter where you are listening to the podcast. Choose your favorite platform. Subscribe to the Funky Marketing Podcast. If you are already a listener and you didn't give the podcast a review, um, I'm encouraging you to do this. It means a lot since I'm coming from Serbia and we didn't have a chance, I think, until the last 6 or 8 months, something like that, I think from 2024, to actually get reviews on Apple Podcasts. Now we have the chance, so please go ahead and leave leave a review. Okay, having said that, I don't want to waste more time. I'm gonna dive into the first topic. It's something that I wrote a post last night on LinkedIn about. It's differentiation between demand generation and demand capture, and why we should actually have the balanced approach. So this is the topic which is extremely interesting. A lot of noise on LinkedIn, shall we call it demand creation? Can we actually create a demand? And those kind of things from both sides. And to be honest, I don't care how do we call it. We can call it demand creation, we can call it awareness, we can call it brand, but we need that part. And a lot of companies don't invest in that part at all, and this is what makes them pay a lot more to get new customers. This is what makes them lose at the end. And this is actually what makes their life a lot difficult, since there are competitors over there who already have a brand and already have a large presence, but they're trying to play the games that costs a lot. So understanding the distinction between demand creation and demand capture is actually crucial if you want to win today, right? Why? Well, there are a couple of reasons for that, and let's start from the very beginning by actually explaining the functions, right? So demand creation involves generating awareness and interest in your product or your service among potential customers who are not actively looking for it, meaning they are not in a market to buy now. It's about, you know, as we say, creating a real estate in the hearts and minds of your customer, or in other words, planting the seeds that may not yield immediate result, but can lead to significant opportunities further down the road. And one thing that's important to remember here is that, we cannot create demand for those people to come and buy what we are selling if they don't need it, right? That's just a bullshit. But we can create um, a situation where, when the time comes for them to solve specific problems, we are the first they think about, or we are on the short list of the companies, of the solutions that they will choose from. And that's what we need to do. So it's important to have that in mind. When it comes to that part of the marketing, demand creation part, I like to just diverse them. Demand creation companies or buyers who are not in the market to buy now, demand captures buyers who are in the market to buy now. So when it comes to demand creation, what does it actually mean? It's like content marketing. It's educational webinars, not the webinars where we try to sell to the people. Brand storytelling. Uh, think about social media. Today we spend more time on social than we actually spend doing our work, engaging with peers, creating relationships with people, small communities, specialized communities where your target audience is spending time. Um, and basically going to your target audience way before they have the buying intent. I hope that's now clear. Let me try to explain the demand capture. So demand capture, on the other side, focuses on converting interest into action, where we target companies which are already in the market to buy. They already indicated, they already have the intent, and we are just trying to get them to buy our product or our service, and not to buy somebody else's products or services, right? It targets those that are already in the market for your solution, who are ready to engage and buy. So it consists of, we can say, like, that's PPC, pay per click. That's also social media advertising, lead gen on LinkedIn, retargeting ads, um, sales activities, sales promotions. But we often forget that there are a couple of others that get into demand capture category, and it is SEO. SEO is the demand capture categories because people are already going to the Google with intent to try to search something. Events, offline and online, when we go and we network. But when we network, we already have, in mind that we are looking for something. Right, so that's important to know, and that's important to think of and consider. The mistakes most companies make is that they decide that they only do demand capture. It's basically digital sales, and it doesn't work. And a lot of people have asked me, now, is ABM in demand capture or demand creation size? I like to say it's demand generation. So basically in demand capture part, and I can often say that they are both equal. right? You have the specific audience that you want to target, that you want to make sure that they consume all of your content to generate that intent in them. So when the time comes for them to buy, you are first on top of mind. So uh, balancing both is essential, and here are a couple of reasons for it. So if you want to really get into sustainable growth, you cannot rely only on demand capture. It leads to just short-term gains, and long-term you're gonna get into the stagnation phase. You're gonna stale, nothing's gonna happen, and a lot of experience that I have and a lot of studies have shown that also B2B LinkedIn Institute says that more than 95% of your target market is not actively looking for a solution at any given time, but engaging with this broader audience can lead to more sustainable growth path. And only on the other side, only less than 5% of potential customers are actively in the market for a solution. So focusing only on them limits your growth opportunities. You're basically missing 95% of your customers by focusing only on those who are on the market. Balancing the two helps you also lowering the cost, the thing that I mentioned earlier. So investing in demand creation can lower all the overall cost per opportunities, because when you create the awareness, when you create the brand, customers will start coming to you inbound on their own. So costs of converting those kind of customers are way lower than if you go to the customers and try to create demand and also close the demand in one email, in one sales call, or however do you do it. And also there is one important thing, I already mentioned it. It's called, listen up, building relationships, right? We are living in the era of relationship centric marketing, and demand creation fosters truly on trust and credibility, and positioning your brand as a thought leader and preferred choice when prospects are ready to buy. So there's a data that says that 75% of B2B buyers say that they prefer to work with vendors who provide content that helps them navigate each stage of the buyer process. So marketing has this one task to actually facilitate the buying process. It means giving your target audience, ideal customers, just exactly as much as they need is each phase of their buyer journey, so they go to the next phase. It doesn't mean giving them and bombing them with information, with things, with calls, with anything, so they can skip stages. It's not happening. So they need to go step by step until the moment comes when they come to you inbound, ready to buy. Trust me, if you are in marketing listening to this, your sales will be grateful for that. It's 2024. If you are marketing and sales approach is not holistic, if you don't look at the full funnel, you're doing not something but a lot of things wrong. And sustainable growth is not an option for you. So you need to work and change that. So let me see if there are any questions. Not yet. Perfect. Okay. Let me drink a few sips of coffee and then we'll move to another topic. Like lime and ginger is always a good choice. So a topic which is really great. Thank you for asking me this. Um, a lot of marketers don't think about this like at all, ever. And it is the relationship with the CFO or the person who is in charge of the finances. Extremely important, because that's the person who will give you the budget. That's the person who needs to approve all the investments in marketing, So that's why it's important to have a great relationship with the CFO as well with the founder or the CEO, right? I hope that's no brainer. So mm here's why you need to actually create a relationship with the CFO. So there's financial alignment, meaning aligning marketing goals with financial objectives ensures really that your marketing initiatives receive the budget that you need to actually deliver on your goals, and you get also the support to go and work on those things. If you have a regular transparent communication with your finance team, with the CFO, it helps them understand the long-term value of your strategy, right? If not, they will look at the short-term gains, and you won't be able to actually fulfill on your long-term and bigger goals. Remember what we just talked about: demand creation, um, demand capture, and all those things. So uh, the second thing is advocating for the budget. If you have a strong relationship with your CFO, it means that you actually have an ally who can advocate for your marketing budget. And when they understand your goals and they see the value in your strategies, they are more likely to support if you suggest that you need to increase the spend on the marketing side. So another thing that we already mentioned, we're going to mention it a couple of more times, it's relationships and the importance of it, not only with your buyers, but also inside your company. Strategic decision making, it's also important to have CFO involved. They need to be involved in the planning process, and it basically allows for them to better forecast the financial and strategic decision making. And on their side, they can provide insights that help optimize your marketing spend and improve your return of investment. On your side, you can suggest some strategies that will work for the buyers, and together you can craft an amazing strategic piece. And of course, another thing that's extremely important is building trust. Uh, it requires demonstrating the impact of your marketing efforts and using data-driven results to showcase how your strategies contribute to overall business success. Remember always, no matter if it's the CFO or CEO or marketing and sales, a collaborative approach with your CEO, with them can lead to just more innovative and more effective marketing strategies. So important thing to know and to consider. Think about these things. Now let me go into the next topic. We're going to have 6 or 7 of them, I think. I merged some of the questions in topics, but let's see. So what do we actually measure, and which attribution models do we use in marketing, and what are some of the challenges? So attribution is always an endless topic and a very tricky topic. So a lot of people don't talk about it because of that, because marketing attribution models can be a double-edged sword. So they provide valuable insights into the effectiveness of our campaigns, but they can also lead to overcomplicated analysis and misaligned priorities, right? So we can sometimes, because of the analytics, get into measuring some things that we don't need to measure, and that will lead us into short-term results comparing to the long-term goals. Here are some of the challenges and some of the most common attribution models. In case you don't know them, like we have the first touch attribution, which attributes all credits to the first interaction. So you can follow what happens from the first interaction. It highlights the initial point of content. It actually ignores the customer journey. So you don't know what happens next. You see, like, this is where we had the first touch. Last touch, on the other hand, you guess it, it gives credit to the final interaction before conversion. And a lot of people, especially those that do advertising, just follow the last touch. Um, and then don't look at the whole funnel and the whole buyer's journey which happens before that last touch. So, for example, if you uh, go and you look at Google, it gives you as the last touch attribution usually the PPC or the SEO. So it's like Google search or Google paid. But you don't know what happened before those people actually came to Google to search. What happened? What indicated the search? So they might seen a social media post. They might have seen the video. They might have watched a YouTube um, interview or listen to the podcast or something like that. And then we have like weighted, which basically distributes credit across multiple touch points. And it's more balanced, but the thing is, it can be a little bit more complex to implement and analyze accurately. So I want to encourage you to use all of them to check it out, but don't overthink that and don't overthink the attribution. Focus on return of investment. Look at the overall um, return that you get on your marketing spend. Are you an investment driving pipeline and revenue growth? Yes. Then you are okay. As I already mentioned, the CFO align with the finance. Develop a shared understanding of how marketing impacts the business goals, right? Not only on the level of leads, but also on a higher level. We mentioned pipeline and revenue growth. Use simple but understandable metrics that both teams can agree on, and not only like the finance, but also the CEO and the board, if there's a board in the company. And important to know is that none of these models is perfect, right? Usually they're quantitative. We need qualitative side, which also adds the self-reported attribution, which is the information that people leave when they fill in the form of your website, when they actually tell you what happened on LinkedIn, what happened on the podcast, what happened in the community, what's the last thing they remember about you, and what actually made them come and convert. So review regularly and adjust all the attribution approach so they can reflect the changes in the marketing strategy and the way customer behave, right? That might change and you will see it if you follow all the different attribution models and you are up to date with all those things. So attribution is a never ending uh, topic and something that we could talk a lot. Now, shall we have a discussion about small versus the large marketing teams? That's always a good discussion and one I always like to talk about. But I was never the guy who worked on a large marketing team. Uh, I didn't ever create it, or the size of the companies where I worked at weren't that big. So my standpoint and the way I'm talking about it is from knowing the benefits of working with small teams. So know that before we get into this next topic. So bigger, in my opinion, isn't always better when it comes to the marketing teams. And I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why smaller and more agile teams can often really achieve more. And you probably seen it. And I'm always saying, like, I had 4 people in the company who were creating more content than some enterprise level companies and closing more customers than enterprise um, level marketing teams did. I'm not talking sales, I'm talking about marketing. So first of all, speed and flexibility. When you have a small team, uh, speed and flexibility becomes something that should be your biggest value and your biggest advantage. as a smaller team, you can pivot quickly, you can adapt to market changes, and you can adapt to new opportunities without politics inside the companies, without bureaucracy. All those things basically slow down the larger teams. So you can be experiment quicker, you can be flexible and change things, and that's extremely important. Usually in smaller teams, you have people who are crafty and they can do a lot of different stuff. So that's also extremely important. You don't need to hire for each role and each new thing that you want to test, etc., etc. So that's the first thing. The second thing is alignment and focus. When you have less people, it's easier to sell some ideas to them and to ensure that everybody is aligned with the same goals and with the same priorities. And automatically, it leads to more cohesive and focused efforts, right? So it's actually easy to control the situation, and it's easy to have a couple of people that are actually really good at what they do and can deliver on their promises, and they are pretty they're able to work more independently uh, inside the team. The third thing is efficiency and innovation. Smaller teams often find creative solutions to problems. They find solutions which will maximize the resources they have, and they deliver uh, with that mindset on innovative campaigns without actually needing the larger budget. As I'm coming from Serbia, often companies from around here cannot compete with the companies from the US or from the UK when it comes to the budget. But we are always crafty and we know how to do not that many things. So smaller do things on a smaller scale or do only a few things, but a few things which will give us the same or even bigger results than those companies, our competitors who have bigger budgets. So, and I think that comes also from the fact that in Serbia we always had to learn how to work with less. Right, I grew up in a country which was in a civil war. Then we were bombed by NATO. A lot of different stuff has happened here. People still live in the past, but we need to be crafty to be able to overcome all those obstacles and win in the end. Right, you always carry that mindset of somebody who is underestimated and is coming to win at the end. Also, in the smaller teams, as I mentioned, you have people who can work independently. So ownership and accountability becomes really huge. Every member has a significant impact on the outcome. You cannot allow yourself to have a member in the team who is not contributing to the outcome or is contributed in a negative way. So this whole mindset and ownership of the things that they do fosters a sense of accountability that drives the performance. And larger teams, sure, they have their advantages, like ability to tackle multiple projects at the same time, do things on a larger scale, have a bigger budget at the same time. But the agility and the whole cohesiveness of the small teams can lead to a faster, more effective results. Uh, Extremely interesting topic, and maybe the topic that we need to dive deeper one day on the episode, but we'll see how it goes. So let me have a little more juice. Feel free to ask questions anytime. They don't need to be directly connected to the topic. Um, BDRs is the next question and the next topic I'll cover, and It's really an interesting one. A lot of people have different opinions really about the role of the BDRs in marketing and sales alignment. Will the BDRs actually stay as the role, as the function in the future, or they will become the marketing or the sales, or what will happen to that? Um, so BDR actually stands for Business Development Representative. Uh, and in the bigger companies, especially in B2B, when we have the sales function, we have the marketing function, they play, I can say, like a pivotal role in bridging the gap between marketing and sales. Mainly, it comes to the point because marketing usually creates the awareness, creates the brand, creates the engagement. BDRs take that engagement, try to schedule calls, and then the account executives actually try to convert those calls. So the way I see it, there are a lot of uh, steps or all of gaps in that buyer's journey, which is not good. Because the buyer first get to know the marketing team, then they get to know the person who is BDR, and when they schedule a call, it comes create the trust. It comes completely new person, which is account executive, right? Comes only to close the deal. So let's talk about a couple of things related to the BDRs. First of all, I look at their role as the role of somebody who needs to ensure that leads generated by marketing are properly qualified before handing them off to sales. You know, so I look at it on a bigger scale, not just somebody who is scheduling the deals, but making sure that those are the right uh, qualified leads up to the point when they are ready to buy. It improves the quality of leads and it increases the chances of conversion. BDRs provide feedback to the marketing about the quality of leads, and we create the feedback loop, and we make sure that the messaging resonates with the prospects. So it actually helps marketing to refine the strategies, adjust them, and improve the lead generation efforts. Um, on the other hand, they also can tailor their outreach based on insights they get from marketing and create like a more personalized and effective approach to engaging potential customers. So if marketing does their job well, and then comes the outreach, basically they will be more successful because marketing is building the awareness and brand. But on the other hand, the most successful BDRs actually are creating their own pipelines. They're working with their personal brand, creating relationships with their target buyers. So when the time comes for them to buy, they are also on top of mind when it comes to closing the deal. Also, by focusing on nurturing leads and moving them through the sales funnel, uh, BDRs actually help grow the pipeline, right? And ensure a steady flow of opportunities for the sales team. Um, and what do I see as the future of it? Well, BDRs often are there with a wish to become part of the sales team, right? And go into the account role or more sales role. So aligning BDRs with marketing can provide them with the broader understanding of the customer journey, making them more effective in the future sales positions. So BDRs can also learn from marketing, and then when they become the sales account executives or work in some other sales functions, they can really understand how they can work with marketing together to get to the goals. So this is extremely important to understand. This is an extremely important relationship for any company or for any business actually. Uh, Let me give me just a second, and then we'll move into the next topic. I love these episodes when I have a chance to actually drink a coffee and talk with you. Ah, okay. So, what are some of the metrics that we can follow that goes beyond MQLs and beyond demo requests? Also, a great questions. You'll have to admit one more great one. So let me go into the some of the things that are on top of my mind. Right, I didn't prepare anything, so I'm just gonna talk from the top of my head. Um, MQLs are kind of like a traditional marketing metric, right? And I don't think that they are a wrong metric. How we defined marketing qualified leads, that's additional topic, and that's the topic um, worth considering. Demo requests, on the other hand, are important, but they don't always tell you this whole story. So here are some of the alternative metrics that can provide a clear picture of the marketing impact. So cost per opportunity, or CPO, is a great metric because usually it measures how much you're spending to generate a sales opportunity, right? So it helps assess the efficiency of your marketing spend. And when I say that cost per opportunity, I don't mean just what Google ads give you or what LinkedIn ads give you. I'm talking about really knowing how much is the whole cost of it, right? So another similar metric that we can follow is customer acquisition cost. Basically, it calculates the total cost of acquiring a new customer, including marketing and sales expenses. Extremely important because this metric helps evaluate the overall effectiveness of your marketing efforts. And a lot of people just look at what Google gives them, what LinkedIn gives them, what is cost per lead, and that's the cost acquisition cost. That's not what it is. You need to include sales costs. You need to include the somebody who does the advertising. You need to include the marketing team creating the materials. You need to include salespeople actually taking the calls. Um, how much the process and how much time you spend over there. So usually companies say, hey, we get leads for like 70 to 50 to $70, but usually it's a lot more. And that's important to understand and to know. Also, we have pipeline velocity, which is a great metric. I love that metric. We even have an article on the website talking about it. It actually tracks the speed at which leads move through a sales funnel, right? Faster pipeline velocity indicates a more efficient sales process and shorter sales cycles. So, you know, is your marketing working? Are you actually um, lowering the sales cycle? Is it shorter, or is it actually expanding or staying the same? Extremely important metric to follow. Then we have customer lifetime value. Of course, I'm not a big fan of it, but we need to actually mention it. Of course, is access the long term value of a customer. Higher CLV basically indicates that your marketing strategies are attracting valuable, loyal customers who are staying with the company long term. We have engagement metrics. I love to look at how much people are spend time engaging with the content, social media interactions, who is engaging with our content, who is coming to the profile of the executives, people included in the LinkedIn strategy, for example. Also email, how is it behaving, how is our open rate. Those are all important things to consider. I also look at brand awareness, of course, when we have sometimes surveys, sometimes social listening tools, but I like to also use, as I mentioned, what are people saying when they convert on our website. So asking self-reported attribution questions in a form, which is how did you find us and why did you choose to work with us, where we can actually see if the LinkedIn is working, how it's working, if the podcast is working, how it is working, and actually adjust our efforts on that side. um, I don't know if you have any other metric on mind. Those are like a couple of those that are on my mind. I like to look at the, are we actually creating the pipeline and are actually customers staying with us long term? That's what I want to look at. And when I create the campaigns, when I create the strategies, I usually make sure that we follow the end goal. What is the end goal? Having the customer who will stay with us for a long period of time. And if we look at it from that perspective, that's how we align all the other metrics on that way. And it's the metric that I want to give also to it's the biggest conversion that I like to include inside the advertising as well. So the Google, LinkedIn, Meta, no matter which platform we are using, can actually see what we are trying to achieve. So they don't focus on just getting us any leads, but they focus on giving us those leads, those customers who will leads who will convert to the customers and then stay with us um, long term. Extremely, extremely important. So we have one more topic. Mm, this is an interesting one. Let me just finish the coffee and then we'll move into that last one. I'm having so much fun answering these Q&As and these questions, and I need to do it more often. Because usually when I create the strategy, I don't write it down. I start with recording myself, not the video, obviously, the audio, but recording myself and asking myself questions about the company, about the account, saying the things that I know, the things that I don't know, what I need to dig into. Then I do the transcript, add that to a document, and then I don't start creating a strategy from the blank piece of paper. I start with the transcript of what's on my mind. Actually, might be a good thing for you to consider. So the last topic for this episode and this Q&A is um, how long the CMO should stay uh, in a company, because CMOs tend to spend a short period of time in the companies, staying in roles for a couple of months, for a year. Not many of them stay for a long period of time. Um, and I'm talking from my experience as I was the CMO in-house, then I was the fractional CMO. I was in a lot of different CMO roles, not in an enterprise level company. I was CMO in a startup. I was CMO in a mid-sized company, but and I was also fractional CMO in those types of companies. And I just had a post yesterday talking about how do we work and some of those things which are extremely important. Because if you work in a fractional CMO role, in strategic role, you can come up with a strategy in like 2 or 3 months with a great strategy. Knowing all, it can be done in a month if you focus only on one company. But the thing is, somebody needs to overlook the implementation of the strategy. And I like that person to be me because I'm the one who created the strategy and I'm responsible for the implementation of it. That's why I don't take the fractional CMO roles, which include the engagement for less than 6 months. I like to go in and stay with at least 6 months. Ideally, that's a year. I don't take a lot of companies at the same time. I usually go with one or maybe two. Because I like to see the results. right? And I like to see the results of the strategy that I created, and that's extremely important. And when I look at the how it's happening in house, as a CMO, you need to create relationship with the people around you. And if you do that, that's the first thing that you need to do, and that's the first thing that will allow you to stay longer in that company. You need to build strong relationships, partnerships with key stakeholders. I mentioned the CFO, I mentioned the sales, so chief revenue officer, I mentioned the CEO, the board. You need to create not only partnerships but friendships with those people, so you have a mutual trust and they actually trust in you, even when sometimes a specific campaign or something fails. They know that your eyes are focused on the right things, that you are on the right track, and that all of you are working towards the long-term goals. So aligning with sales and with finance can ensure that the mutual support and shared goals, which will lead to the results, right? They know that they need you as well. But if you don't communicate that well, if you don't create a relationship with them where, to the moment when they trust you, they'll, you will probably will be replaced. In today's environment where everything is going fast and everybody's looking towards results as fast as possible. Then it gets us to the second thing. You need to deliver results. Without delivering results, how can you expect that somebody will keep you in the company? Right? They will find somebody else who can actually deliver results. You need to consistently demonstrate the impact of the marketing strategies through data, and especially data-driven results, right? You need to show them how did you get to the results, and you need to show them the results in a metrics in a way that they understand, that the board, that the CEO, and the whole C-suite understands. You need to show them how your initiatives actually contributed to the overall business growth and return of investment. Having said that, sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed. So you need to adjust, and you need to adjust and trust also the CFO when the CFO tells you from his perspective what's going on, or when you have the perspective of other departments from the sales, you need to adapt, adjust, and be open to change. Because marketing landscape evolves rapidly. You need to be on top of your game, but also you get insights from the customers, from the other teams, and you need to be able to get all of that, be flexible, and pivot strategies that are needed for so you can actually stay ahead. Another important thing is leadership, because like CMO is the leadership function, and you need to lead the team with the empathy and support your team's growth. I always say you need to be able to understand their work and their perspective as human beings and their role inside the company. You need to help them understand how what they do contributes to the business goals, and you need to help them develop further. That's why empathy is extremely important. And if you have a stable and motivated team that can drive sustained success and innovation, and other C levels will also respect you more, and your team will respect you more if you are able to deliver on those things. Then we get to the point where I see a lot of people who just stop learning. It never happens in today's world. If you really want to become a leader, if you are already a leader, if you're a leader in a position when you want to stay, you need to invest continuously into learning and into professional development. You need to stay up with the industry trends, with new technologies, with best practices, but you also need to be hands-on so you can understand and also drive innovation and be the one who is also bringing in new things to the market, right? And on top of all that, you need to have the strategic vision, to see the long term strategy, the big picture, and see the path how you are getting the company towards that goal. Because you are the one who is creating the path, right? There's nobody else. You might be able to get the help from other departments, but you are the one who is actually creating the path towards that, because others don't see the big picture. They don't see it. Your team don't see it. You are their connection to the bigger goal, and you need to help them envision how what they do implements impacts the business results. So that's what you need to do. You need to on one side balance the short term wins, because like as we said, everybody will like to see the short term results and how you are cooking the big term results, so you can gain trust and go on that side. But on the other side, you have long term goals that uh, if you look at them, this is where you want to get. To get there, you need to make sure that you build the company step by step into an organization that can fulfill those goals, right? Into a resilient and impactful company. And your function that you are in charge of, marketing, needs to be also become a resilient and impactful marketing function. So this is actually what you need to remember and what you need to know about all these things. Like really great questions, guys. I'm really grateful that you send me all of this. I emerged a couple of those inside one. There's a possibility that I took some of these topics aside and create separate record separate episodes. But feel free to send me questions additionally, even if you are seeing this after a while in your LinkedIn feed or YouTube, or you are listening it on a podcast and you have questions. Feel free to send them anytime. Send me some topics, some suggestions, what you want to listen. uh, Go ahead, get back to the beginning of the episode, listen, because I share a lot of different stuff, a lot of really good stuff on the different topics. Make sure that you are subscribed, that you are following Funky Marketing Podcast on your favorite platform, and go ahead and shoot me a DM, write me a comment. Hey, I listened to this podcast episode. It was great. I listened to another one. It was really good. Go ahead, take this if you find value in it, and recommend it to somebody else. I encourage you to go ahead and help me actually get the podcast to the more people. I didn't focus on increasing the number of people who are listening to the podcast, but now I am. Now in the fourth year of the podcast, it's time to increase number of listeners, because this is really good podcast. I like to call it the biggest hidden secret of B2B marketing, Funky Marketing Podcast, right? So go ahead, do that. Give us a review if you liked it. I prefer if you do this uh, on Apple Podcast, because I think you can only give stars in Spotify. And basically, that's it. Thank you once again for listening. We see you next week with a couple of I think we're going to do 2 episodes with some great guests coming up. And, if you have a guest suggestion also, this is something that I'll be grateful for. Keep it funky, as I always say at the end. Cheers, and see you on LinkedIn.